A word is dead when it is said, some say. But I say, it just begins to live that day. And that is by Emily Dickinson.
Yeah, that's right.
You was right on the tip of your tongue, right? Well, welcome to StoriesRoc, where we lift the words off the page and we breathe life into them. Tonight, we are presenting a program called Kitchen Confidential. All of these stories are true personal stories that we share in front of a live audience. And so I'm just delighted to welcome you. My name is Leah Ruckberg, and I'll be your host today. Mary Finucane is the queen of baked goods. However, she cooked her first turkey this year. She removed the neck, believing it was the giblets. She cooked the turkey and found the giblets, and it tasted fine. She's the mother of an amazing 10-year-old daughter, and they both prefer pie to turkey anyway, so it doesn't matter. And something you should know about Mary, she is one person I trust with the stories where my soul is laid bare. She will read The Missing Ingredient.
Every year I make her birthday cake. Of all forms of kitchen activity, baking is the best because it involves sugar, butter, and licking spatulas. It didn't matter that for her third birthday, the purple abby-cadabby cake turned out to be gray, and that the more coloring I added, the grayer it became. If we are talking paint colors, it began as a Benjamin Moore misty evening and ended as Lowe's elephant hide. 3-year-olds barely care, it turns out, so onward with the tradition. This was her 8th birthday, and I had learned a few tricks in between. Number 1, don't make the cake on the day of the event. This induces stress, and it's best to make the cake the day before in a relaxed sort of way, say in the evening, with the child helping if she wants and some music playing, like so. This is how the 8th birthday cake began. She had requested a Guinness cake, which is a rich chocolate cake with a lot of ingredients, including a pint of Guinness. It was a good choice. So Friday evening after dinner, with the party lined up the next day, I began. All items on the kitchen island, pint of Guinness in the fridge, music playing, and the child helping, then going off to play, then checking on progress, then going back to play. For a change, I decided not to lick the spatulas at the end. Although I barely believed in salmonella because, well, I'd never had it, and I consumed enough raw dough and batter to warrant at least about a month. I'd been advising the child not to eat too much dough, so I thought I should probably practice what I preached. The prep was slow and joyful. There was humming. Darkness fell. This was to be a big gathering the next day, so I doubled the recipe. Filled 2 cake pans, slid them into the preheated oven, and voila. The feeling of all's well that ends well is so sweet. And so short. 10 minutes into the cleaning up, I passed that bowl of batter and thought, oh, what the heck. I picked up the spatula, tasted, and gagged. Spit. Whatever I had tasted was foul. It looked like chocolate cake batter and tasted like arsenic. I went to the other bowl and tried that. Same terrible taste. I stood and looked at the many ingredients on the island. Flour and eggs and bitter chocolate and Guinness and baking powder. And finally, after a beat, I realized I'd left out one vital thing. Sugar. I had not added the required 5 cups of sugar. Yes, 5. This was a bitter cake filled with bitter chocolate and sour stout, and sugar brought things back to balance. I opened the oven and grabbed a pan, but in my haste to save the batter before it began to crust, I did not use pot holders. I held long enough to get the glass pan out of the oven and then dropped it. Unsweetened cake batter covered the floor and left splashes in 4 directions, hitting walls and cabinets. The cake bottom had already begun to crust, so there was no adding sugar now. I soothed my burnt hands under mild tap water while my daughter stood in the doorway. The clatter had piqued her curiosity. It was dark outside, my hands felt like swollen paws, and I had 2 full grocery bags of quality ingredients now scraped into the trash. I called it a night. The next morning at 7 a.m. we hit the store again. Piled all the necessary items into the cart. I added 2 box mixes to speed up the process. I let my daughter stay in pajamas, and she reminded me gleefully, don't forget to add the sugar. 8:30 a.m. I am in the kitchen and I'm getting my groove back on. There is no humming. There is more focus, more get her done. The oven has preheated. I'm almost ready and I hear the doorbell. Can you? I call to her. Yes, she calls. She wants this cake and she wants me to get it done. I think the doorbell is either family or friends or a neighbor, but she runs in looking rather alarmed. I don't know who they are. Okay, I say, wiping my hands on my apron. Clock is ticking. They are matching, she says. I scan the counter, the clock, and move to the door. 2 young men, clean cut, white shirts, stand to share the good news of some sort. This is what I gather. They don't hold petitions, so I know it's not to save the earth. They look sweet and peaceful, and I feel bad because I'm about to tell them, no thanks, and that I will be sweet and peaceful after the cake has come out. Hello, one begins. Usually I would not interrupt. Usually I would have a conversation, even if brief, but I'm on the clock. I'm so sorry, but my daughter has a birthday party today. We started the cake last night, and she dropped it, she called from behind me. Yes, I dropped it. And so we're making a new one for her birthday, and it's just a really busy morning right now. I go on about birthdays, and behind me, the almost 8-year-old adds proudly that we're having Guinness cake for her birthday. They give me a pamphlet and say they will come back. I set the pamphlet on the piano as I return to my mission. I taste the batter, it's divine. I slide those babies in and sigh. All's well that ends well. I pick up the pamphlet. As the cakes bake, I read over to see which religion. Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a form of Christianity with one widely known distinction. They don't celebrate birthdays. It's safe to conclude then that they also don't bake or eat birthday cakes, especially those that have beer as an ingredient. My daughter becomes deeply curious about the people who don't believe in birthdays. That's so sad, she says. I imagine the young men may have said something similar about us as they left our door. The sad people steeped in stress and stout cakes. For unknown reasons, they never do return. The cakes, however, turn out beautifully, just the right amount of sweet with undertones of bitter adding depth. Does God believe in birthdays, she asks, days later, recounting how funny it was when I dropped the cake. These are big questions, and I go with an affirmative answer. After all, wasn't it Jesus who said that man cannot live on bread alone? This, to a pastry chef, translates to an occasional need for cake. And who better understands that it is the bitter and the sweet woven together that constitutes our daily life? She's relieved that our version of God is okay with birthdays, and goes so far as to wager that he'd also love our Guinness cake.